Hi, Juice Plus family. How are you today? I just wanted to pop by for our newsletter article. And again, having a little bit of fun with this video thing. So I'd love your feedback as to whether you prefer me typing an article in the newsletter each week, or whether you like these little chats, or you prefer a mixture of both. So I might put a little kind of note into the Facebook group and ask you to kind of give some feedback. That way then I know actually who's watching in. But a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. First of all, great month, well done, and we are now well into July, which is, as I said, a little bit scary. Last week I talked about how it's so important to make sure that you're treating your business like a business. I want to continue on from there, just a little bit around, I suppose, the whole contact equals care, care equals keep. One of the things that I learned early on in my business was the importance of being able to add value to people. So in other words, staying in touch with them. That was not just about what's the next sale I can get or can I recruit them into my business, but more just purely from the point of view of sewing into the relationship. And so I suppose it was really about putting some strategies or some systems in place that help you to do that. For me, one of the things that I did, and this is kind of, remember, I was kind of before the arc, whereas, you know, we've got so many technological tools now that we can use. But you know what? The principle stays the same. So for me, what I used to drive around with in my car, I would actually have some cards that I could just stop and write a card whenever. So that could be after I had gotten a customer, I would send a thank you card. I made sure I knew all of my customers and my teamies' birthdays so that I could send birthday cards as well. Now these cards were, birthday cards especially, or Christmas cards, were just, you know what, happy birthday or happy Christmas. It wasn't about trying to upsell them into anything. It was literally about sewing into the relationship, because again, contact equals care, care equals keep. When you're in touch with people, they know that you care. When they know that you care about them, they're more likely to stay as a customer or as a distributor. So sewing into those relationships is actually really important. So that's what I used to do. I then progressed into, and I use an online system today that actually, same principle, it's a card in the post, but I just use it, able to do it online. The other thing that I made sure that I did is I had little 3x5 cards. And that would have all of that information on there about my customer or about my teamies, so that each time I was talking to them, I would be able to kind of pick that up, just remind myself before the call. And it could have things like their birthday on, like the family, you know, their special interests, any of the conversations that we'd had before, just a couple of little notes about it. Again, technology today means that you can actually do that in either a CRM system, or you can do it in, you know, a spreadsheet that you might have, a document, some notes in their contacts on your phone or on your iPad, whatever. There are any number of ways in which you do it. Of course, we encourage Task Manager Pro just because we've been working with Lindsay so closely on that, around how to get it as Juice Plus friendly as possible. So that's another place in which you can actually do all of that. So look at, what I would ask you to do is maybe just do a little audit around how you are contacting your teamies and also your customers. What is it that you're doing to actually be sewing into those relationships? Are you giving some friendly text messages or some emails or whatever it might be? But look at what it is that you're doing, because long term, the time that you invest into building those relationships will pay off tenfold. I can guarantee it. People used to say to me, oh, but you know, surely you must run out of customers. What I found is that I never did. And the reason being, I believe, is that I took time to sew into those relationships. Sending a thank you card, if somebody, you know, has done something or added value, whatever like that, letting them know that they're appreciated as well. So dropping that thank you note in the post, whatever it might be, but looking at ways in which you can do it. Because when you are fostering those relationships, as I said, you never run out of customers, you never run out of people to talk to, because they also become those referral partners. They actually feel more like they're partnering with you on this journey, rather than being just somebody that you make money out of. I used to say to my team, just imagine you were shopping at Mars or whatever the big, you know, department store is that's close to you, and you bought some stuff. Wouldn't it be just lovely for somebody to kind of, you know, ring you and just say, thank you so much, really appreciate your service or whatever. I know that in so many ways in which I do business, whether it is, you know, Telstra or whatever it might be kind of thing, you sometimes get a thank you, but very rare, and very rare will you get something as personal as a card in the post or a personal text message or a phone call or whatever like that. So don't undervalue it. What I'm saying is you don't have to do it old school way, you know, come up with a way in which you can make sure that you are sewing into those relationships on a daily basis. So that's the first one. The second part of that, though, is then making sure that you are adding to that funnel, okay, adding to the ability to be able to talk to people. And that, of course, is working your grid. So if you haven't already printed out your 30 and 30 grid, I encourage you to do so, or use whatever your team uses. If you're using TMP, of course, the grid is actually already built into that system, so that's fantastic. But either way, getting that piece of paper out and making sure that you are making an effort to go out there and talk to people, and whether that's online or offline, it doesn't matter, but that you're actually taking it further than just a scattershot, throwing your information out there and hoping that it's going to stick to somebody. So I would really encourage you to kind of look at your grid. If there's nothing on the grid, you know that you're not having conversations, you know that you're not working the business. And God bless us, I tell you, honestly, no matter how much positive thoughts we put out there, until we actually move in action, well, then we're not actually going to get the results that we want. So absolutely the right attitude and making sure we knowing who we want to attract and becoming that person, working on ourselves harder than anything else. All of those things will help to attract the conversations, but unless we move in action towards that, then it's not going to happen. So your grid is a really great indicator of how many conversations you truly, truly are having. All of this, of course, takes time, and time is our greatest resource. It really is. So look at some ways in which you can systemize any of these things that I've talked about today, or, you know, just making sure that you schedule them into your diary so that the time that you're investing in doing these things, you know, already got it scheduled, you've got it taken care of, and you know that it's an investment, rather than kind of just messing about and hoping that somewhere in the midst of all of this, you'll actually remember to do some things. I love my diary. Everything goes into my schedule. It's fantastic because it means that Lindy can see it as well, and we all know where I am and what I'm doing and that, but literally everything goes in there. If I've got emails to send, I'll put in a schedule to do some emails. If I've got to, you know, do an agenda up for something, I'll actually schedule that time in so that I know that that's a priority. It needs to get done, rather than doing endless lists. Now, don't get me wrong. I have my little list that is look, that's a nice to do. There's some things that I wouldn't mind looking at down the track if if I've got some spare time or whatever like that. But anything that's important, anything that actually needs to happen, anything that's a regular base thing, even for example, sewing in time into my personal development and my spiritual development, they're all scheduled into the diary so that they actually happen, because life can actually take over instead of us taking control of life. And so just be really mindful of that. Well, that was just my little kind of chit chat for this week. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope there was something useful in there, and I look forward to catching you in the future. Remember, please let me know whether you prefer the written word, the spoken word, or a combination of both when I pop by for our chit chats. All right, God bless. Have an amazing week.